My girlfriend told me she's pregnant, but I am sterile. Backstory. I got into an accident after my college and will never be able to have kids. None of my family members know of this. They know about the accident, but not about this. I have always wanted to be child-free, so it did not affect me much mentally. I have finished my master's degree last year and never dated before. I got a very high-paying job directly through campus placements. My parents immediately wanted me to get married after getting a job, but I wanted to work on myself and explore a bit. They said no, and I said that it was my wish. All my life I did what they wanted, and for the first time when I talked against them, they were not happy. This was last year, and they gave up after COVID started. So I picked up some dating apps and went through them, but no luck. Then my parents introduced me to a family friend's daughter, and we clicked kinda. Looking back, I was a fool. She said yes to anything I said, and never complained about anything. I felt kinda weird about it. I wanted her to express her interests, but she always said she was interested in whatever I do. Well, I didn't think much about it. I said that I won't have kids ever, and she surprisingly said okay. I was like, damn, she's probably the one, as it's very hard to find a partner who is child-free in my country, or at least I thought. But we were in the initial stages, and I had not told her about my accident. Long story short, we had sex a month ago. I used condoms because safety first. The next day on, she started ghosting me a bit. I thought it was due to my performance in bed and wanted to give her some space. Then she texted infrequently and only replied okays and Ks, and one-line answers. I thought maybe she wanted to end the relationship and was sad, but I left it at that. Yesterday, all her family came to my house, and she claims she's pregnant and the father is me. Needless to say, I freaked the F out and wanted to collapse on the ground. I did not say anything while they were talking about marriage and stuff that needs to happen because I got her pregnant. Please advise me on what steps to take now, Reddit. Now in the comments, you do not have to marry this person. You do not have to keep your parents happy. They sound super selfish and manipulative. You do not have to do anything that you don't want to. Get tested and confirm that you, in fact, can't have kids, do not sign the birth certificate, get advice from an attorney as soon as you can, and stay safe. You could get tested to confirm that you are truly sterile. You may want to try speaking with her privately to let her know you are physically incapable of being the father. You may have to reveal your sterility to both of your families. And OP also comments, "Thank you for the advice. I will tell them about me being sterile and also using condoms. I just feel like crap because I have to tell my parents about this and they won't like that they won't have grandkids." Depending on how much damage you've got down there, you'll want to first absolutely confirm that you're still sterile and it's not possible. Then you'll want to cut and run. Nah, he needs to mention this first before they get ahead too far. The girl's actions are suspicious, and maybe she's cheating on the side and just wants to get married, as per her parents' wishes, and keep the affair on the side. Yeah, it is hella suspicious, but I've heard plenty of stories from people who were sure 100% that they couldn't get pregnant on account of the guy's infertility, and then suddenly they wound up having a child and the paternity test showed that it was totally theirs. If OP can take an afternoon to get a quick reassessment, he'll be extra sure before dropping the bomb. OP, hear me out on this because I haven't seen anyone mention this yet, but I feel like this was a setup or a trap. I think she may have already been pregnant and your parents' friends knew this and took the opportunity once your parents mentioned something about setting the two of you up. Your parents may have very well known that she was pregnant too. She also could have had conversations about the whole plan the night before the two of you had sex, and it did seem very clear that it was a scheme on your parents' part so they could have a grandchild. I have no clue what country you're in, but whatever you do not allow your name on that child's birth certificate. I would make that very clear, because if you were listed as the father, then you could very well be on the hook financially taking care of that child. Also, I do believe you when you stated that you were sterile, but this does not happen to men sometimes where they think they are shooting blanks, but they still had some sperms in there. And it only takes one to get a woman pregnant. So there is a possibility that this child is yours, even if it is a less than a 10% or 1% chance. As someone else said, it certainly isn't 0, and you don't have clarification from a doctor at the moment to let you know your odds. In fact, I would recommend doing a check of your sperm count to verify. If you give a sample, there should not be any sperms in there when it's checked by a doctor. But get doctor to confirm all this for you and come clean with everyone about your sterility. Also, someone made a comment that you can do a non-invasive paternity test as early as 8 weeks. So by the end of next month, I think you can get a paternity test done. Make sure you do both, by the way. The doctor's visit for your sterility and the paternity test, so you know 100% sure either way. And please give us an update once you know, because I'm rooting for you as a fellow child-free person, and I'm hoping this works out in your favor. The next update I hope to see if you are not the father. Best of luck. And now, on to the update. Let me start off by saying I am very, very grateful for all the Redditors who took their time to read and give me advice. I was overwhelmed by the amount of comments and how many of you said it might not even be my kid. Looking at it from a different perspective gave me much more insight on the whole situation. I called my boss and took today off. I called up some clinics to get tested and was given a slot on Friday afternoon. Then I went to the store and bought some pregnancy tests and asked her to come over to my place tomorrow, i.e. today morning. I also called my parents, and before I said anything, my mum asked if I had any good news. I was shocked by what she said and asked her what exactly she was talking about. She then played dumb, and I knew that the situation was more screwed than I thought. I cut the call and I cried all night till 3 a.m. Grown-ass man crying for the first time since 8th class. She came today morning with her parents even after I told her to come alone. They were under the impression that I was going to discuss engagement plans with them. I told them to wait outside and called her in, and they threw a fit. I told them they can all go back or let her come alone inside, and they said okay. I took out the pregnancy tests and gave it to her, and told her to prove that she was actually pregnant, and told her where the bathroom was. She started screaming at me. She's never done this before, and I was shocked at this. Then she went out the door and called her parents in. Now everyone is screaming at me in my own home because I asked her to prove the pregnancy, not even a DNA test. I told them to all F off, and 1 hour later, my parents and they all came to my house and they spilled the beans. She was never actually pregnant. As many Redditors said, my parents were afraid that I was getting too old for marriage and wanted me to marry and give them grandchildren. They said that in arranged marriages, there is no need for the people to actually get to know the spouse because parents choose only the best for their kids. They planned this all and were only waiting for me to have sex with her to do this. I broke down and cried again. All my life, I did exactly what my parents wanted. Always scored high and never asked for anything. I told them to get out and to never talk to me again, in between crying, and they said parents know what's best for their kids and I should do what they say. Then I got extremely angry and I told them to F themselves in my native language, which was very bad. For once, I think they knew that I was serious with them and they all left. I blocked them all before sending my parents a message to never again contact me in my life, even if one of you is dying. I cried for some more time. I went through some dog videos and went through all my messages on Reddit, and I feel like I owe you guys this update because it was you guys who helped me do this. That is all, and I hope you have a wonderful day. And now in the comments, I am so incredibly sorry that you were treated like this. They beyond disrespected your trust and autonomy. Nobody deserves that, especially from the people who claim to love them. I'm glad you cut them out of your life and know, from personal experience, that it is never an easy decision to make. I hope that you find peace and happiness going forward in life, and would recommend looking into therapy to help you process things. I guess the girl would say that she had a miscarriage after you get married, and all parties would be satisfied except you. OP, don't let your parents influence your life or make decisions in your place anymore. You are a grown-ass man, live your life and learn from yours or others' mistakes. Good luck. I'm glad this situation is resolved for now, but everything is still fresh and they may not be done yet. I don't know anything about India, a lot of people are guessing in the comments, but here in the USA, I have seen instances of women not only faking pregnancies to get married, but announce that they are getting married before they even told the guy they were pregnant in the first place to blackmail with peer pressure. Is that a thing that would happen there? Could you and the girl's parents announce and plan the wedding anyway to try and force you now that the pregnancy scan didn't work? Is there a possibility for the family to pester you at your home? What about going after you at work? I would still go through with all the new sterile testing that you have planned. If you are still sterile, you'll have proof for your parents. If something is healed, see about a vasectomy, or even get one anyway if you're sterile. Unless your testicles are completely removed, sterility is never truly 100%. Only 80 to 90% chance that you can't have kids. Vasectomies aren't 100% either, but doubling up with the two 90% effective roadblocks can't hurt. And 10 days after that post, OP provides an additional update. I want to thank you all for taking your time and reaching out and giving advice. The last few days, I feel like a burden was lifted off me, especially from my parents who always expected many things from me. The first day after the confrontation was a crap show. My parents forced relatives to reach out to me, asking me to see reason. I declined. They stopped after 2 days after a harsh message from me requesting no contact. I also took appointments for family planning, vasectomy, which is next month. Some people asked if I would ever tell my family about this, but I will not. My body, my business. I will of course tell potential future dates that I am child-free and also had a vasectomy beforehand. Some people asked where I'm from. I am from India. And now in the comments, this is so abusive, manipulative, and devastating. I'm happy for you that you did the smart thing and were able to stick up for yourself to your family, especially in a culture that makes it so hard. It's time to start living your life, no contact with toxic family. Holy crap, man, just read your previous post. Stay strong. I was also born in India and obviously have Indian parents. I too do not want children, which is very weird in our culture, but F culture. It's my choice. I married a non-Indian girl from New Zealand, so parents didn't want to agree to that too. I just had to make a stand and marry who I wanted. It's been 7 years since we got married, and other than my mum, everyone is cool with it. My mum still doesn't talk to my wife. I have a good relationship with my mum though, and we have just agreed to move on with them to not talking to each other. I used to care a lot about what others think and everyone's happiness, and then realized that no one was happy. So I decided to make sure that I'm happy, and my wife is happy, and everyone else can worry about their own happiness. It was difficult for like 6 months, and then everyone fell into line. Your parents seem even worse than mine. Just remember, it's okay to move away from family if they are toxic. Just because they gave you birth doesn't mean you owe your life to them. I know it's not an Indian way of thinking, but you gotta move on with times and live your life your way. Good luck, and it's okay to cry as a grown man. It's another Indian thing that grown men don't cry. F that. Crying can make you feel better, and it's good for your mental health. Don't buy into that macho bullcrap. Man, child-free and Indian? That's a surefire way to get all the relatives involved in relentlessly trying to change your mind. Been there and heard that. Yeah, I can speak for what it's like there, but my Indian friend had to literally move continents to get away from the relentless hounding from her family after she told them she didn't want kids. She's almost 40 and says she won't go back until she's in menopause, lol. Oh yes, it's just because we are continents away that we have been spared the full brunt of this. If we were in India, it would have been much worse. Our next post is titled, "Am I the asshole for revealing to my dad's wife the real reason why me and Tim were never close?" So my dad practically gave me up to his sister from the moment that I, 27 male, was born. My mum died when she was giving birth to me, and my aunt told me he never recovered from that because he blamed me for her dying. It hurt a lot as a kid that at family events he would ignore my existence. When I was a little older, he got more vocal about me killing her, and he can't stand to look at my face. You can imagine the amount of therapy that put me in. I used to go to church crying because I was scared about going to hell for doing that to my mum. That's how much his words screwed me up. But the shitty part was that I never stopped trying to be accepted by him. After my high school graduation, he told me to never bother him again since he legally has no obligation to me anymore, since he was sending my aunt money to take care of me. Around that time is when I finally started accepting that reality, so from there on, we moved on with our lives. My aunt doesn't talk to me about him. Sometimes my grandparents do, and that's how I found out he got married. They were mad he didn't invite me to their wedding, but To me, it didn't matter because we are not close. But it was his wife who wanted to meet me. It's the first time ever that he wants to make contact, and it was pretty much to say that she wants me in their life. She doesn't know the real reason about why we are estranged, and he asked me to please not say anything, and maybe this could be a way to reconcile after all. But he was only doing it for her. That much was clear when we talked. I never said I would be. He still insisted on us meeting at their place because she really wanted to meet me. All she thinks is we were estranged for not getting along in my teenage years, going to college, and losing touch because of life stuff. It pissed me off that he played it off as us not talking for petty reasons, meanwhile the actual reason damaged me for years. I told her the truth. Everything he said to me, that he was never a parent to me, that was all my aunt. It was definitely a shock for her. The outcome was a disaster. Everyone has heard about this now. My grandma in particular told me she understands my anger, but this was his chance at finding someone since losing my mum, and now it's been put in jeopardy. My dad is devastated. They think it was going too far to ruin his marriage that way when he was willing to include me in their lives, which could have been the start of our relationship. And they say not only did I ruin that, but also possibly wrecked his marriage. She just doesn't agree at all with what he did, and it could have been avoided if I didn't say anything. For me, it was hard not to tell the truth after the lies made. It seems like it was nothing serious. I couldn't ignore what happened after what it did. I don't know if it was the right call, since it put their whole marriage at risk after all. And now in the comments, dude, not the asshole. Your dad is a grade A double cheese asshole from hell with a special topping of asshole served with asshole sauce. He deserves every bit of what happened to his second marriage because he presented himself as a different person than he is. I am sorry that you had to go through this. I wish you strength, and may you find more people who love you unconditionally. And OP says, thank you, and don't worry, I have. My aunt has been the best parent for me, and she always tries to shield me from this crap as much as possible. I don't know if I would have made it without her supporting me. Keep it that way. As for your grandparents and your dad, just tell them, I didn't do anything. He did it to himself. He blamed a helpless child. He was a deadbeat and got caught in his web of lies, and that is why his marriage is in trouble. You all care about his happiness, but where were you all when he was blaming me and making my life miserable? He doesn't get a pass for that. This is it. This is the answer, OP. He ruined his own marriage. That's a consequence he has to face for choosing to treat you like crap for something you are not responsible for. That's right, OP. You are not responsible for what happened, no matter what your father might try to tell you. Your mother's death was tragic, but it was no one's fault. Him repeatedly blaming you, his child who wasn't even born yet, for killing her is screwed up. Something not many people understand is that you might go through trauma, but that doesn't give you a free pass for putting others through the same. You can be a victim and a villain at the same time. Losing his wife to things out of his control is hard, but he is still in the wrong for treating you badly, and he will be held accountable for it. You did nothing but tell your stepmother the truth. A relationship that can be ruined by a simple truth is a relationship built on lies. Simply knowing that my husband is an absent, horribly cruel father who has no intentions of changing would be an instant deal breaker for me. But knowing that he lied about it for our whole relationship so I wouldn't walk away is just, wow. Thing is, leaving would entirely be your stepmother's choice. One you cannot make for her. She deserves to know the true man that she married, which is exactly what you gave her. Your dad can't blame you for that. And also, this bit, they think it was going too far to ruin his marriage that way when he was willing to include me in their lives. For one, he needs to quit saying that you ruined his marriage, because you didn't. He did. More importantly though, the way he talks about your involvement in his life is pissing me off. He's acting like including you in his life is a sacrifice he has to make, a favor to you. But it's neither. You don't owe him anything. He should be the grateful one, being thankful that you were even open to reconciling the relationship. And now onto the update. Words can't express how much it meant to me getting so much love from my last post. Everyone who supported not just my actions, but also acknowledged the hurt. To all the sweet internet mums who commented and DM'd me, you'll know how to make someone feel loved, even by total strangers, lol. Since so many people wanted an update, here it is. It's a little heavy, and for a couple days, I needed some time to process it and do some crying. They are splitting up. I heard it first from my grandma, then from his wife, or I guess ex? She was legit crying on the phone when she called to tell me sorry for putting me in that position. Her and my dad had a longer conversation where he told her everything else he did, so she made that decision she can't stay with someone like him. And she wanted me to know how disgusted she is. Also to tell me thanks, which is something I really needed to hear. My dad is who he is, yeah, but regardless, two people splitting their marriage because of what you said is a hard thing not to feel guilty about. This lady is heartbroken going through divorce just a few months after getting married, and she wanted to take the time to reassure someone else that they made the right choice. Unexpectedly though, my dad wanted us to talk yesterday too. My girlfriend again didn't want me to. Trust me, I get her point. She's the one who didn't want me having dinner with them in the first place. For one thing, we didn't know what he wanted to talk about and what that would do to my mental health. It was probably a bad risk to take, but I met with him. And yeah, I should listen to my girlfriend more when it comes to this stuff. First time in my life I think we had a conversation about my mom. How much he loved her, them being happy and excited about having a family, but then she died, and he told me even if it's wrong, he can't never not blame me because simply, if I hadn't been born, she would still be here. He's only sorry for not completely staying away from me and saying horrible things growing up. While he wasn't saying this to be malicious, since he seemed sincere, it was still an ouch for me. In the end, we decided having a relationship with each other was never going to happen and said goodbye. He at least apologized for trying to put me in that position. First good thing that he ever did was to tell me what happened with his wife wasn't my fault. Then I just went home and cried. Had my day to process a short therapy session and support from both my aunt and girlfriend to get me through. The rest of my family is leaving me alone at least, so glad that in the end it was resolved. Not a total happy ending, I know, but in the end, it's better this way. And now in the comments, his late wife would be ashamed of him. This is what I was thinking. I would never stay with a man who had done this. What if wife too got pregnant and died during birth? How could you stay with someone who you know for an effing fact would abandon your child together? OP, you did this woman a favor. Your father still has a lot of growing up to do because, based on his flawed logic, it is all his fault for getting her pregnant, but that's besides the point. I hope life gets better from now on, and it's great that you have your aunt and girlfriend's support. I hope you're able to heal from all the damage he's done to you. Right? I don't think it's healthy to live a world of what-ifs. At the end of the day, you can't change the decision that you've made. But the thing is, mum and dad made the decision. Decisions to have a child, what hospital to go to, etc. Does that mean she deserved to die for the decisions they made? Obviously no. But OP literally wasn't even born yet. There was no wrong choices OP made, they literally didn't exist in the world yet to make those choices. He completely dishonored his wife's memory. I'm sure she would have wanted her child raised by a loving father. I almost died having one of my kids. It was such a comfort to me knowing that they would at least have my husband. I would be devastated if my kids were raised like this. Dude has to have mental issues. He told me, even if it is wrong, he can't ever not blame me because simply, if I hadn't been born, she would still be here. Mother effer, the kid wouldn't be born if you didn't knock your wife up. That's how this works. How anyone can blame anyone else for being born is beyond me. Yeah, I have a distant, in terms of DNA, as people we were quite close. He died when I was 10, but before that he often took me for weekends so that I could hang out with his grandkids on his farm, relative who lost his wife in childbirth. He was understandably devastated, and yes, his sisters moved in with him for a few years so he would have support, but he always considered his live son to be the last gift she had ever given him. He admitted when drunk that he blamed himself because he had wanted another baby. He had 2 daughters, although they were under 5 when they lost their mother, and had been teasing his wife that he wanted a boy this time. Back then, you couldn't tell the sex before birth, so he got told it was a boy very soon before being told his wife was bleeding out and things looked grim. But blame his son? Never. Sober or drunk, he always maintained that his children were the greatest blessings, and he was grateful to have them. And on that note, I'm going to end the episode today, guys. I do hope you enjoyed. If you did, let me know, and I will see you in the next one. Bye.